This is our very last meeting of the year, and normally we'd have that KGC reception over at Berry Hill. And man, I wish we could have done that, but it's COVID again. Hopefully next year will be much better. My name is Charlie Baglin. It's a strange name, Baglan. I want to say happy holidays to all. And the ballots are coming up. I'll mention this again at the end of the meeting, but we have a refreshed slate of officers and board members coming up for the new year. And Dave, you're going to send that out. When will it go out to email, and when should they want that back?
I did not get to all my emails today, so I was going to discuss that with you, but they will probably have only about a week to get them back to us. So if I could get that out, geez. Because of the holidays, we may have to go an extra week, do you think, Charlie? So maybe the first week of January? I'll get them out the end of this week.
That's fine with me. There's going to be a lot of people on vacation.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
So I'm hoping to get them out the middle of this week, and then a couple of reminders, and they'll be due at least by the first week of January once we come back.
Wonderful. Our early going in 2021 is looking pretty good. We have Sam Dick from Channel 27. We wanted to have him on while he's still a fresh face on TV. There's no rumor of his retirement, although you kind of know it's not that far down the road. We also have a speaker lined up from the Coalition Against Domestic Violence. It's odd to have their perspective on PR, if you will. With COVID going on, it's sort of strange to be cooped up, isolated, confined, quarantined with your abuser. But it'd be interesting to hear what they have to say. We also had a board meeting the other day. We probably, until vaccines are in effect, not going to be meeting in person, at least the first half of the year, we suspect. We'll have to play it by ear and see what government agencies will allow members to do. But with any luck, we'll be having a fall conference, and we do want to go ahead this year with our awards. So that's a nutshell of what's up. But I want to get with this week's speaker, Tom, and David, would you please do the introductions?
Certainly. We're lucky today. We have Tom Ulshafer. He's the president of retail operations with My Favorite Things in Lexington. Tom is a native of Ashtabula, Ohio, which is up near Cleveland. He's a graduate of Kent State University with a BS in advertising. Tom has been the sole proprietor of his hometown garden and floral store. Other work experience includes advertising, merchandising, and management positions with Higbee's and Dillard's in Cleveland, along with Dillard's in Lexington, which is what brought Tom to Kentucky. He served in a regional position for Ethan Allen, covering Kentucky, Indiana, Tennessee, and Arkansas. And in 2005, Tom was recruited to open the new Drexel Heritage and My Favorite Things store in Lexington. He rose to retail division president for the Forsch Group of Kentucky, which is where he currently serves. So today, Tom is going to discuss with us how to tailor communications to an individual, a client, or an audience. And being able to adapt midstream is a key to successful communication. So Tom, I welcome you here, and I want to thank you for joining us. The floor is yours.
Well, good morning and happy holidays, everyone. Thank you for having me today. I hope you pick a little bit of something up. You can see or understand from my positions and my titles. I'm also the creative director for the Ford Group of Kentucky. But I'm not specifically in the communications field, but daily I use the 4 basic styles of communication that we all know: the verbal, visual, nonverbal, and written. So of course with the verbal, it's very important to have in my position anyway, a face-to-face chats with and conversations, meetings with clients. Unfortunately, that has not been available lately, but with Zoom and Skype and all that, we've been able to communicate and complete some projects. The only bad part about that is when you have a one-on-one, you can actually touch and see fabrics and other samples of flooring and furniture. You can actually try the merchandise out, the furniture or whatever it might be. But everything always looks different on camera, because I unfortunately look different on camera than I do in person. I think everybody does, but everything just looks different in person, and I like to have that one-on-one contact anyways, because that brings you to nonverbal, which it's important for me when I'm showing products, merchandise, whatever the case may be, to watch how the client reacts to a color or a pattern or a furniture style. So that's very important in what I do. The nonverbal is just as important. And then, of course, written. I use emails, but I would prefer to just, with what I do, it's better to use emails for meeting scheduling, things like that. Text, brief, little things. Like I said, on Zoom and stuff, pictures and fabrics and all that do not always convey as well through the social media kind of techniques. So once again, I like to have the personal one-on-ones, which we'll hopefully have soon again. And also, written is more permanent, as everybody knows. Once you have something there, it doesn't go away. So you really have to think a little bit harder on what you're saying. And sometimes in a communication, what one word means to me means something to a client, although it shouldn't. But that's just the English language, and also exclamations and emojis and all that stuff, if you use those, sometimes convey the wrong message. So once again, I would prefer the one-on-one meeting. As far as visual, that's obviously very important, probably the most important in my line of work. And that communication visually through like live, like I said, fabrics and photographs that you can see, finished samples that I'm proposing in a face-to-face. It's just hard to convey that. You can have a floor plan in front and a view on a computer and move that around if a client doesn't understand a flow of traffic or something. So it's just easier to be one-on-one with that person. It's not all about being easy either, but it's just a better form of communication in what I do, just the personal touch. Plus, you get to know the person a little bit better, and building relationships in my industry is very important. We've been here 15 years, and I can say that probably 90% of those customers are our first customers from 15 years ago that we have developed and maintained relationships with through one aspect or another. And actually, I believe that, and it's not usually listed as a form of communication, but I think listening, especially when what we do here, is probably the most important communication style that's out there. Without listening, understanding, and assessing what our clients' needs and wants are, it's really difficult to translate that in the end to a positive and successful project. And then it also depends in communication on who you are speaking with. The terminology you use, every profession has its own kind of terminology and key phrases, and just imagine being at the doctor's office and you need a procedure and he's explaining it to you in his terms or her terms, and it's oftentimes, it sounds like a foreign language. Same with like a computer technician. Well, that's the same thing we have to do. We have to explain colors and decisions on a more understandable level. Not that we are that far advanced in what we do, but it's just different terminology for different professions. So if you bring it down to a normal normal understanding for everybody, it just makes the communication process better. So, and most clients do not have that deep understanding of design and what the thought processes are behind that. And the unfortunate part is that everybody thinks they're a designer or thinks they know design because of the internet, Pinterest, and HGTV. Everybody thinks they know what's going on out there in the design world, and what you see on TV is not what's really happening in reality most of the time as far as design projects are concerned. Like for example, color is a big part of our design decisions here, and like you might have a bank president who tells you in your first meeting that they want the most current and exciting, the colors of the year, all that good stuff that they hear about every year. Well, this year the colors of the year are gray, which is the first time a neutral has ever been on the Pantone color of the year, and yellow. But unfortunately, I don't think in most cases gray and yellow would convey to a bank situation, especially like canary yellow, which is the color. So you kind of listen to what they have to say and translate that into something that might be usable to them. I think, in a case like that, I use this year's, but before a bank president has told me that, he has said, I want the most current thing. And what he really meant after talking and looking at some pictures and samples and all that is what he really wanted. He didn't want the traditional old burgundy leather and green like everybody thinks a bank should look like. He just wanted a more updated current look, which we used one of the colors and combined it with their corporate colors to make it all work. So by listening, you can make you can use what they say versus what is out there to make a reasonable and good presentation and a happy client. So listening is probably the most important thing to what I do here. And that translates into everything as far as employees. And, we have customers on the retail side too that you have to listen to what they're really asking for. A lot of people think they know what contemporary versus traditional are, and then they'll show you a picture on their phone or Pinterest, and if they say they're contemporary and they show you a dark carved wood piece of furniture, you know that is not what they what their look really is. So you have to kind of work through all that, and like I said, with Pinterest and all these everything that's available on the internet, it becomes very confusing, and there's a lot to weed through to get to the bottom of what the customer really wants. And then and in the nursing homes or healthcare situations, you might have an administrator tell you that red is her favorite color and she wants red everywhere. Well, that's great, but that is not a soothing or suitable color scheme for a nursing home and the residents who live there. You don't want red has a tendency to create anger and hostility, and that is not an environment we want to encourage. So, you take what they say and listen to that and then translate that into colors that are more effective and successful in a healthcare environment. more soothing colors like green and softer blues and things like that. And then to show that you were listening to your client, you just need to maybe put the red into some accessories or small things, artwork here and there, to make that client happy. And then it used to be easy to. Can you guys
Tom,
still
we
hear me?
just lost your camera. Yep, we can still hear you,
Oh,
but we just
okay.
lost your camera.
All right. Someone's trying to call me, I guess. But so all right, there I am. So like I said earlier, with the internet and everything, it used to be really easy to do a design project. You pick something out, you put the colors in front of the client, and there you go. You had your project. You wrap it up, you order it, and you deliver it and install it. But now the clients know probably almost as much or more than we do when they come in to purchase, and so you really have to stay on top of every single aspect of the construction, the wood choices. Is it real? Is it veneer? Is it plastic? And then you just have to, like I said, weed through all that again. It just takes a little bit longer. It's a little bit more effort, and just being able to listen and weed through all that is what I think is most helpful to us at this level anyways. And that translates over, like I said, into employees and what they really, if they have a complaint or a problem, it's best to just let them talk. And usually by letting them talk, you'll find out that what they're complaining about is really not the issue. I think all of us have experienced that at some point in our careers, but so that is really all I have to do. I was gonna take you on a tour of the store, but this is not letting me do too much of a tour. But we're a 10,000 square foot store, and what we have is retail furniture, which is, we have about 10 different manufacturers: Century, Bernhardt, Fairfield, etc. They're all a little bit higher end furniture, but that's our specialty, and those clients are our specialty. We also, at this time of year, don't sell that much furniture, so we transform our showroom in pretty much halfway into Christmas and all the goods that go with it. And you can probably hear some music in the background. We like to make our store an experience during the holidays. A lot of people tell us they kick off their holiday season with shopping at our store, which is usually at our open house, which is in the first, usually, week of November. This year we had it for 12 days, 12 days of Christmas, because of the COVID. We wanted to spread it out a little bit and not encourage the big crowds like we usually have. So anyways, we do a little bit of everything here. We do corporate, we do residential, we do just anything that anybody wants, really. So does anybody have any questions or
I do.
comments for me? Okay.
Tom, it seemed like
Yes.
2020 was a bad year for everything under the sun, including furniture. And I know that your competition, whoever they may be, let's say Oak Factory or Furniture World Superstore, Burke Furniture, everybody in Lexington Ashley Furniture would have these stores, and you may see them on the news, that people would order furniture. They're living at home and they're wanting to have their home fixed up a little more homey and dress it up while they have the time. They're home anyway, but they go to buy the furniture, and it may be 2 or 3 months before they can take delivery on that furniture because of the layoffs and the inability to get raw material to build that furniture. Did that affect your store as harshly?
I mean, we deal with some of the same manufacturers, all of us, and pretty much everybody owns another company of some sort as far as the manufacturing goes. So yes, that is a true story. It does make it more difficult. So yes, when we could be capitalizing on people wanting to update their furnishings and things like that, we have to kind of slow them down a little bit and do things local that we can do quickly, such as accessories and paint colors, maybe just things to spruce up now while we wait for their furniture to come in. Unfortunately, the furniture industry and most of the home accessory products are coming from overseas, and now they are trying to get out of that situation, but you don't just go from factory 1 to factory 2 overnight. So all of that takes a lot of time, which does slow down the process, and it is frustrating to customers. So that's why we try to kind of intervene and get in the middle of the design project and make things look a little better or happier for them now while we wait for the end product, so that when everything comes together, you'll have a complete product or project.
Is there
So
an
good
end?
question.
Is there an end in sight?
Is there an end? I think there is an end in sight. It's just going to take some time. And everyone, manufacturer-wise, has really jumped on that bandwagon to get things back to the United States or a different country which has better ability to process the merchandise. Unfortunately, like I said, that doesn't happen overnight. And like, for example, I think it's Thailand has a lower water level than, say, China does. So the merchandise that is now being produced in Thailand has to still be shipped over to China and then back to the States. So even though they have thought they were doing a good thing, now we have that problem to deal with. So the shipping is still an issue. And then there's been so much internet stuff that I know some of the local delivery companies, well, they're national and worldwide companies, they're just overwhelmed, and they can't even get a UPS or a FedEx or whichever DHL product. Even the trucking companies, I know we have a local one that gets our merchandise from, they have a hub in Berea, Kentucky, and they have a parking lot full of merchandise that has been picked up around the country that needs to be delivered, but they can't get it because they don't have enough workers to deliver those trucks. And if you are the 5th trailer back, they're not going to dig that out for you to get your one sofa or whatever project you might be working on. You just have to wait your turn. So it's frustrating, and hopefully we get through it soon. I don't know if that answered your question, but yes, in a nutshell, it is a problem.
It addressed the question. Thank you. I'm sorry you all had to go through that. And customers
okay.
as well.
Well,
anyone else?
There's people that are.
Anyone else with questions for Tom while we have him here?
Just a comment from Dave Baker. He said, color as a means of communication is very underappreciated.
That is true. Color can affect our moods and all of that. How we react to our environment is very important. And that's part of the communication, the listening process, and knowing where your project is going to end up, as, like I said, a healthcare or personal home, or there's different rules and different things you can do for each one, and they all affect each area differently. So yes, color is a huge factor in everything we do.
I was told once upon a time that if you wanted to change, and tell me if I heard wrong or if I heard correct.
Okay.
If you want to change the look of your living room or your waiting room, whatever. The best way to do that for the least amount of money is to change lighting. How's that strike you?
That is lighting is a huge factor in design as well. You have a whole bunch of different types of lighting. You have overhead lighting, you have, you know, your ambient lighting, you have your lamps and things like that. If you want a more, you know, homey feel, if you're walking into a doctor's office and they have all fluorescent lights, that obviously feels a little bit more clinical than if they were to replace those with floor lamps or table lamps or both. Yeah, that definitely has an impact. And then colors, you know, fluorescent and of course these new LED lights show all the colors differently, which is again why I like to be right there with the client, sometimes in the location. So for proposing, you know, whatever it is, you can see by the lighting that you have that you might not like how that looks. But if we turn that overhead light off and put you some floor lamps in here or table lamps, you can see how those colors and the feeling of your whole design project changes. So yes, that's true.
Tom, I have a question for you.
Sure.
I try to ask this of everyone. There's a whole bunch of complaints about 2020 and the way COVID has affected us and everything, you know, that is going on. It just seems to have been a really, really horrible year. However, is there anything that you've started doing or learned to do or incorporated because you had to, that you think is a really good thing that you will continue to use moving forward 2021 after COVID? Is there some benefit that has caused some growth that you didn't expect that you're going to keep using?
Yeah, we are a small company in a large corporation. The Ford Group is 94 companies. So we're kind of like a mom and pop as far as our operations go. But what we did, we were closed, of course, for a couple months earlier in the spring, March and April. But I was here every day, you know, monitoring the store, maintaining all that stuff, doing the day-to-day things that you still have to do when you're out of the office. But what I started was because during those times we had, you know, Easter, Mother's Day, graduations, but I wasn't able to connect with my clients on a one-on-one basis, and they weren't allowed to come to the store. So we are a little bit slow getting out of the box here, but we started an internet store, and that it was pretty fun to watch and help design. You could be sleeping at night and get, you know, 4 or 5 or more, you know, orders to be dealt with the next day, which is part of what I did when I was here. So yeah, that's a whole nother line in our bookkeeping that we track, and you know, especially this holiday season too. There are still those, especially the older group, who have managed to, it's really fun to watch them to learn how to use the internet and how to shop. And so we were able to service, you know, a lot of our clients that didn't feel like they could still come in that way. And so that is leading to, right now it's just gifts, but we're going to have furniture, etc. Like, unfortunately, we have, you know, thousands of SKUs. We can't have every single item that we have in the store. We're just not equipped or staffed for that. But maybe we will be in the future. So that's, yeah, something to definitely look forward to. Just expanding in that way. So yes, I guess to answer your question in short answer.
Excellent. Thank you. Anybody else have any other questions out there in our virtual world? Any attendees? Charlie? All right, I guess. If we have no other questions, we appreciate your time, Tom. Thank you so
Yeah,
much
thank you.
for
Yep.
joining us. Charlie, are you going to end with a few notes?
I will. Won't be many. Tom, again, thank you for coming on, and hope you and yours and your business have great holidays, a very merrier 2021. Zach
Thank you.
Morgan.
Hey,
Zach
just a sec,
Morgan.
Charlie. Before I will have a copy of the recording. I've got all of Tom's information, his store, all of that stuff. I will add to our website and send out in a follow-up email. Probably not till the first of the year, but I will get that out. Go ahead.
Very good.
Thank you.
We had a board meeting a few days ago, and it was brought to our attention that Zach Morgan, who was supposed to be president this year, but left state government like second day of January or so, and so I stepped in. But anyway, Zach has a 9-year-old daughter, and she is suffering from brain cancer. And David, if I understand this right, she is like stage 4. And it doesn't look like they're going to have very merry holidays. I don't know that there's a whole lot we can do, but I just want you to know that in your best wishes for the holiday season, the coming year, please remember Zach and his family as they go through this tough time. I understand they're staying at a Ronald McDonald house in Louisville, and that's not the kind of thing anybody wants to hear. So that said, again, we have ballots coming up, and take a look at those and mark yay, nay, or write in a candidate of your choosing and get those back to us, and we'll let you know who the new slate is come early January. Meanwhile, I wish you and yours a great Christmas. Hope Santa Claus brings you all that you want and more. David, I'm done, and Merry Christmas.
I am done as well. Thank you, everyone, for attending. I hope we've made 2020 as good as it could possibly be under the circumstances. And I look forward to seeing and hearing from everybody in 2021, maybe actually in person at some point. So everyone have a great day, a great holidays, and we will see you next year. Thanks again, Tom.